morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. Today on the Flow, we are going to discuss an avenue aspect of self healing. I did a poll on Twitter, and I covered some different topics on what people would be most interested in, and self healing won the race. And what we're going to talk about today in relation to self healing is kind of resetting and cleansing your energy. And today, to discuss that, I have Shadow Fox with the Flow and Lee Two Hawks. Welcome, my friends. Welcome.
Thank you so much for introducing us. Uh, so there's a lot to be prepared for as an individual who is looking at healing. There's a lot to commend or uh, not negate. We will not negate anything because everybody has their own policy of healing. Right.
I just, I think the beginning part is to recognize our own energy and the energies around us. We will do these in different segments, and we will bring different aspects into our own personal healing. But I think it's important to start at our own foundation. These are we're looking, of course, we all know that both Lee Twalks and we really deal a lot with energies, different energies, how it applies, how it affects us, the nuances to them. And so what I'd like to do, please know that there are many different formats for altering our energy, our energy on our aura and the energies around us in our surroundings. Everything from, whether it be through meditation, Reiki, energy, light energy, sound energy. You can go with utilizing essential oils. But for this segment, we're just going to be bringing in a few different tools and show you how to actually use them. I am calling upon Lee Two Hawks. He is going to specifically speak in smudging, in utilizing sage and mother's braid. And I will talk about Palo Santo. He's also going to talk about some work with crystals, and we're going to show you a really pretty crystal. So, with that, I am going to turn it over to Lee Two Hawks. And my first question to you is, what is the principle behind you smudging, like with sage or any other herb?
Okay, as a member of the Blackfoot tribe, we have centuries of beseeching the spirits to cure us, to help us to move forward. Whether it's in grief or whether it's in battle, it doesn't matter because these are things. This is what's called a bundle of sage.
You might have to put it close to the camera.
I got it right here.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Can you see that, Paul?
Yes.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So I'll put it by the door. There we go. There. You see it better. I don't particularly care for the bundles because I don't necessarily know what's in them.
Like who wrapped them?
Yeah, who wrapped them and how they wrapped them. Because you have to deal with intent, always with intent. Here is a leaf. Oh, let me go this way. Okay, a leaf of sage. Okay, but I have a funny story to tell you on this. When I was out in Montana doing the Sundance with Chief Joe, and there were sage brushes all over the yard, and I went and picked a whole bunch. He says, no. He said, no. He says, these are single leaf. You got to find a single leaf to sage. And that's what I had to go find. And I had bought a whole bunch back. He said, what are you doing? But so, anyhow, in burning this, what this does in lighting it is creating a course of smoke, as you will see. And in that smoke, in that relevance, this is the essence of the leaf. The smoke is the essence of the leaf. So when you're lighting that, when you're bringing it forward, you're purifying the air. You're purifying your surrounding, your environment. Whether it's a room, whether it's a house, or whether it's simply you. Okay. Then what we also have is called the grandmother
Mother's
braid.
Braid. Sweetgrass.
Sweetgrass, yes. But it's also called the grandmother.
Yes.
And this is what enriches the environment. After clearing it with the sage, you have to put something back into the environment. You've taken something out, you have to put something back into it. So in the grandmother's braid and burning this, we go throughout the house or ourselves or whichever. Well, we use these a lot in Nipi, which is the sacred lodge. It's not a sweat lodge, damn it. It is not a sweat lodge, it's a spirit lodge. Okay? And in that, we purify ourselves, and we use the grandmother's braid to do that.
So, what if you would, if you like to, we're just going to show you to light it. Now, this, like I said, there are many different mechanisms to utilize. If you're looking at moving into a new environment, a new space, a new house, whatever,
Or a new wife.
smudging your space is very effective. And again, mother's braid, but all of these elements, it, like if you don't have one element, you can always intend a herb or something to work within that fashion. Okay.
And then if you have a feather, a turkey feather or any other feather, I have certain feathers which I'm not allowed to have, but I have them. And this is also to move the smoke through the air and to move it around our bodies, to purify ourselves.
And what could they use if they don't have a feather?
Breath.
Or your hand?
Your hand. Anything can.
Okay.
Anything
Now,
can.
before you light it, hold on. Before you light it, we do have some questions. I want to get
Okay.
to the questions real quick. We have Cornelia Blackmore, and she asks, "What about Palo Santo? You've told me a lot about it."
She will.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna get to that, and then the other question that Cornelia asked is, "What should I do when I move into a new space?" Y'all know I'm moving soon, which
Yes.
I'll let you get into that.
And
then
this is what he's gonna talk about.
right, and then smudging for those that don't know, who might be in here and haven't heard that term. Explain what smudging is.
Smudging is basically lighting one of these, moving around through the house, through the environment, wherever you are, outside, inside the cupboards, inside the drawers,
Cars.
inside your car. I used to smudge my vehicle every time I went to protect me, all right, and to clear the energy, negative energy, whatever may ever be around it, all right.
Antiques.
So if you're moving into a new home,
Yep.
the primary thing is this: it gets some sage wherever you may. They're everywhere. They're in any shop, and go throughout the house and smudge the house. That means up in the air, go around the corners because that's where negative energy seem to collect. Is in the corners, okay, above and below, and all around you. Smudge yourself first, so that you are a purified being, going about smudging the house to purify the house. And we use the feather often to just move it around ourselves.
Mhm. So when we hold on one moment. So if you're smudging, you're gonna smudge yourself first. But as you're smudging the home, you're gonna start from the back part of the home. You do those rooms and move towards like where your front door would be. So if your back door is your front door, then you're gonna move that way. After you do the smudging, then you go back, you open the doors or open the windows, and you allow that smoke to escape, all that energy to escape. But we're going to get to that. Let's just go through a little bit of the process so you can see what it kind of looks like, okay? We're going to light this piece, and he's going to smudge
All
me.
right, okay. One thing, you have to remember this is a ritual. just like in a church or anything you do, that is a ritual.
Mhm.
And in that, you have to have the intent of what you're trying to do, healing or purifying. Same thing. Two terms that mean exactly the same thing, healing or purifying. Because this ingestion simply of the smoke itself, or in moving it about your body, down the wrist, down this and that, okay, you are necessarily negating those energies which are
Clinging to us. too.
clinging to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
And all right, so go ahead. All right. Oh my God, it's on fire. Okay. So then we create the smoke. All right.
Mm.
So in that, there's a certain order. And so what we do with Charmaine, Shadow Fox, and we do that, move over the head, we
Sure.
move, okay, around the main chakras in the chest, and down the wrist, okay, in the palm.
Okay.
Move the other palm, please, thank you. Okay, so we do all that, and in that, we have thus negated certain energies.
So, for instance, if I was smudging someone else, I could start with the heart, up through the head, around, down through the chakras, your arm, say, go around the arm, other arm,
Yep.
also the legs, around the back. All right.
Now, one thing in this is there are the facts of the palms down, and there are the facts of the palms up. The receiving end is the palms up.
Mhm.
That is where you're asking whatever you believe in to come forth and give you the healing energy.
So that is just the essence of the smudging, and you would do the exact same thing in your home. You would smudge yourself first. Normally we start with the heart, go over the head. I mean, there's different techniques, different ways, but I personally go with the heart. As you're taking the room, you can go clockwise. You could start in which direction would you suggest?
I start in the south and move to the west, to the north, to the east.
And there's others that start in the north and go.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
really doesn't matter. Just be consistent in which direction you start.
Because that is primarily my training.
Yes.
So that's why.
And if you can't find, or you're not sure about what is north, south,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So the corners and the corners, above and below, and then afterwards open the windows. So we've got the sage done, and now what I'd like you to do is then talk about the mother's braid, and
Okay.
I'm going to actually light a little bit of that. I'm just feeling it really requires.
This is called the mother's braid or the grandmother's braid. That's what it's called, and
this is a little harder to light actually.
And it has its own significance. It has a very sweet smell, and this restores the positive energy.
Oh,
The positive energy. It didn't light very well.
Yeah.
Restores the positive energy that was taken out by the sage itself. And I'm sure.
And it's the same. I'm sorry. It is the same process. You know, the heart in the corners. If you can get the sweet grass.
And actually, it grows naturally.
Yes, it does. So for that, I mean, these are just some of the techniques, because there's been so many people. Well, how do you smudge? Or how do you do this? Or why do we do it? Or why is it important? You know.
Okay. So here we have a bowl. Okay. I just had the leaf right here, but in the bowl you can walk around without hurting yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. You can show the rock. I mean, if you can't get a
yeah. This is my favorite. This is a natural rock that I found. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but it has a contour inside, the convolution, and it just perfectly fits for burning sage.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite. It's a little heavier than abalone shell, but it is. But if you have if you have access to a store that sells abalone shells, which is what this is, okay, you can also use that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's just
So, how does this affect healing? This is the important part. First of all, healing is an intent, and we all wish to be out of the pain we're in, of the suffering we are in, whether it be cancer, whether it be a broken leg, whether it be something in our head that is bothering. I have PTSD as a veteran, and so I have some difficulties in that aspect. But at the same time, I recognize the ability this as a ritual, and it's in many rituals, is a process that we go through to help ourselves be better. Be
so.
better.
So let me ask you a question. As you're smudging, and you're smudging your energy, because we're speaking about that healing aspect. Can you speak a little bit because of how our thoughts go out into the universe and how like the stale or stagnant energy, like after an argument, right? Many people may have come home and have a disagreement or be in a real grumpy mood from work, right? Things didn't go a certain way. Maybe it's not voiced, but the thoughts are there. The intent can be, I'm really angry right now. Well, guess what? That energy is being put out, and it's like it can like go on the walls and in the carpets and in the furniture. It becomes a residual energy, and this is what can help cleanse that. And this is why it's a great question. Like when you're moving into a new environment, you're getting a new apartment. Well, it's new to you, but it could be, could have been built in the 1800s, and 40 different families have lived there and had arguments and so on and so forth. Well, guess what? Many people, they clean their homes, right? They got this broom out and a vacuum, and they're mopping their floors, and boy, it's so clean you could eat off the floor, right? But you could walk into that room or that home, and it's literally so heavy and so stagnant you can't even breathe. You could eat off the floor, but the energy there is literally sickening, and we can get sick from it. And so this is part of the reasons why we also smudge.
Yeah, so pay attention if you're looking at a new environment, whether it be a house or whatever. Pay attention to your initial, okay, it's a sparkling clean home, but your initial impulse may be there's something wrong here. If that's your impulse, back away. Look at it further. Doesn't mean you don't buy it in the end. It just means that you got to look at it. Did somebody die here? Commit suicide here? Was there other things happening here that shouldn't be? Okay? These are what's called residual energies, and they exist in the environment you're around. Why? Because we exude this. We exude this wherever we are.
Yep.
We exude that energy of either lovingness or hatred or viciousness, and we do that.
Yeah. Have you ever just walked in, somewhere, and it could be at a board meeting or something, and there's a couple people in the room, and all of a sudden you walk in and it's like, whoa, boy, somebody had an argument here, or you could just tell. Another thing you can also pick up is like, hey, there's a couple people in that back closet back there. What were they doing, right? No, I'm saying you can definitely be in tune and feel some of these energies. So I mean, come on, they come out with rosy cheeks and feeling real good. Well, they were having a quickie, right? I mean, you can literally, I tease about it, but you really can feel the atmosphere. Well, guess what? That energy is there, and you just walked into it.
Well, again, the term bad energy is inaccurate. Okay, it's simply energy.
Yeah.
And it's what we exude as human beings in our temperament, whether it be angry, hatred, or lovingness. Okay, we can walk into a room and feel just like a blanket is wrapped around us and feel so comfortable.
Mm.
Or we can walk to a room where we just want to turn around and immediately walk out.
Okay.
Pay attention to that.
So very quickly, I am going to talk about the Palo Santo because these are the things that we burn. and then I'm going to have Lee Two Hawks talk a little bit about working with
Crystal.
crystals. Now, for me, I carry these. I have these things all over the house. Okay, I they're a like a buck. There's just a little tin thing. You can use a shot glass. There you go. And you can see. I mean, the Palo Santo. Can the Palo Santo can be a little harder to get started. Palo Santo is actually uh, the meaning of Palo Santo is holy wood, and it is indigenous down in South America. Sages, masters, holy men, shamans have literally been utilizing Palo Santo for ages, eons.
Can
Okay.
you explain the
Yeah.
origin?
Yes, I'm going to. The Palo Santo is a tree and it must die of natural causes. Then it lays dormant anywhere between, I think it's like 4 to 10 years before it's harvested. It has a high residual oil within it. It also is utilized, now again, not a doctor, can't prescribe, do anything else, but they do utilize it with tea, and it has the highest lioliposomes. I think it is. Don't hold me to that if I may mispronounced it. In most of nature, and it works really, really well for helping with cancer.
Isn't it on the same range as frankincense?
Yes, I'm just getting to that.
Okay.
So Palo Santo is up there. If we're looking at a hierarchy, it would be the highest would be frankincense, myrrh, it would be copal, and it would be holywood. It would be the Palo Santo. Now, Palo Santo is a little easier than working smudging with sage and with sweetgrass.
Yeah, a lot of people have objection to the smoke of sage.
Yes, and so the sweet or the Palo Santo, what I do is I hold it at a 45-degree angle, allow it to kind of take root here, and my intent is always that of the loving. And see, it's so much easier. You can smudge yourself, you can smudge the home. What this does is it combines both the sage and the sweetgrass. This actually blesses the house. It raises the vibrational frequency of your home or your whatever you're smudging. Okay.
And what does that mean so far as healing? That means as soon as you raise the vibration of any place that you were at, it means that you are capable of ingesting that positive flavor through your nostrils or just soaking through the skin itself. And that helps in that evaluation, that self evaluation we have of, of healing, of getting rid of that ill feeling that we have, whether it's stomach or the stomach area, whether it be the chest can't breathe, or whether it be, oh my God, I have cancer, or something like that. It is not a cure. However, it is an effect.
Mm-hmm. This has also been stated that it can help clean a sick room. So if somebody's got a cold, they're in a room, again, now you got smoke going, so on and so forth. But that is some of the idealisms that are behind that. That it can sterilize and help. I mean, there's just so many different things. Inside this, I have sand. I mean, really think about it. It's a piece of wood. Okay, you're lighting it in your home. We have this stuff all over the house. We have it on the back porch, we have it on the front porch. It's like no matter what room you go in or where you're sitting.
Well, that was
we have
before the house burned down.
Oh, you saw. So again, you're working with fire. Let's, be responsible. I mean, this really is something you have to be aware of. You can't, sometimes it's not an incense. People utilize it as an incense, and this is where it's because I come from that strong, firm belief of how our thoughts create and our realities in whatever case. And if this is a tool that I get to clean energy with, it's not just a scent to, make the house not smell good, right? So incense is one thing. With the essential oils, this is holy wood. And so for me, it is always done with that proper and beautiful intent. I don't just light it like I would light a piece of incense. Okay. Um,
So we have to recall, because this is about healing. And healing is a very, very private thing. There are some people who desire the illness in order to gain the attention. There are some people who wish they could simply rid themselves of this agony. There is no promise of anything. We have these tools here that we personally use, and they have been effective. But what we also have is that belief and that intent that we are guided in a perfect manner to be perfected. All right. One of the tools we use is the crystal. Okay.
oh yeah,
It's one of the beautiful crystals we have.
that's one of the smaller ones we have.
That's very. It's one of the smaller
You can
ones.
see the
we
big one on the back
Yeah.
on the shelf back there. It's
Yeah,
about
yeah, okay,
well,
all right. But again, I caress this. Honestly, I caress it more than I caress her. But anyhow, I caress it because it's a tool. Is what it is. It's a tool for our benefit. And if you talk to it, yeah, I know. Okay, you talk to a what? A stone? Really? Yeah. Why? Because it has its own sentience. It has its own perfection.
In each one
Every
carries
piece.
a gift.
Yeah. And also, we talked about there's been messages around about the stone skulls that are found. And there are at least 12 of them that we're aware of, and they all have messages entrained into them.
Oh, I didn't get some.
And then we have the crystal ourselves, and we can do our own entrainment. We can do our own entrainment for healing, for selfhood, for beauty, and it doesn't matter. Okay, so we're not going to get healed, but what we're going to do is feel better. We're going to feel naturally intensified in our aliveness. And I think that's what's critical. She's bumping my leg.
I am.
She's doing this. Shut up. Okay.
So, Paul, do you have any questions or anything?
Cornelia had a question. Where does negative energy mostly stick to on a person?
On the back. Primarily on the back is where it comes from. I've seen, because I'm psychic, I've seen arrows in people's backs. I've seen darts in people's backs. I've seen what I would call very heavy, negative, black energy in that area.
Yeah.
And in pursuing that, in ridding yourself of that, is a matter of saying, go home. You are not welcome.
So, and like this, working with crystals, again, it's open to interpretation for each and every person because it will definitely vibrate and resonate and bring different healing energies. And when we speak about healing energies, could it be encouragement? Could it be teaching of self, reminding self, holding? So there's so many different elements and rocks out there. I mean, like selenite. Selenite helps keep negative people who have negative intent coming into the home. So you could place selenite like next to the door, or over the door frame, or by a window where there's an entry. And people, if they have a negative intent to cause harm or anything like that, well, guess what? That kind of back off. They won't understand why they're not impulsed to like step into the door or further into the home. Again, these can be cleansed very easily. You can do it with uh, sea salt and some water. They can be cleansed. You can put them out during a full moon. You can put them in the sunshine. They're, they really kind of just like hang out wherever you put them. I kind of like it. I mean, we do have so this is our pet rock, by the way. This is definitely our pet rock. We speak to it all the time. We'll say come and we'll take 2 steps to it and it gets closer. So yes, you know, but it's beautiful to meditate and look at the facets that are within it. Um, I mean, there's so much to say about so many, and we're just showing you different tools. What can you get? Why would you choose to have one? Why does this set within our bedroom? Why would we have it there? Why would we not just have it in the kitchen or whatever? Because this is one of Lee Two Hawks that he works with primarily. I get benefit of it after he does. So he does a lot of the work and then I reap the rewards. But so again, they're just different tools and different mechanisms.
This is something I reflect on, and maybe it's something that you choose to reflect on. Is that every tool we have, whether it's crystal, whether it's sage, whether it's Palo Santo, are all reflections of our own ability to heal ourselves. Our intent has to be, I wish to be well.
And this is the way I look at it. Okay, and we were talking about coming into somebody's home and the house is absolutely pristine and it's clean. You could eat off the floor. It's almost you could probably do surgery there, right? But the energy in that place is very stale, stagnant, stifling, slow. Um, the same thing like when Cornelia was talking about some of the energies around you. You cannot walk in to a smoke filled room, like going to a bar way back when, or even they have chicken wings there. You're gonna come out smelling like a chicken wing. The smell just clings to your clothes, just like cigarette smoke will cling to your clothes. The energy that's out there is no different. And so, if we're looking at going to, you're invited. Every single one of you are invited to this absolute beautiful banquet. Okay? It's like top hat. It is like there's going to be some mega food there and everything else. And it's like you have the invite, but you haven't showered in 7 years. You haven't changed your clothes in
Wait a
10.
minute, wait a
You know,
minute.
and you have not cleansed your energy. You haven't taken a shower. Literally, this is like utilizing this stuff is like cleansing and taking a shower. So now you've been invited to this banquet, but you've never done any work to clear your energy. So what, you're going to come to the banquet and you haven't showered in 7 years or changed your clothes? You're not even going to get new clothes to put on, right? That's what it's kind of like. It's like we have a physical hygiene. There is also an energetic hygiene. And it's like, think about, do you think you might get ill or something would happen to our skin? Like if we didn't bathe, didn't have that ability, I mean, come on, lice, scabies, all these things like creatures all over the place, right? Let's freak everybody out. No different if you're not working and cleansing your energy. It's like you've never taken a shower, you've never taken a bath, and you've never cleaned your house, even though you could eat off the floors.
However, let me say this. In a perfected human entity, there'd be no need for any of these tools, any of the crystals, any of the sage, any of the Palo Santo. In the perfected human, you would not have to take a shower for 7 years and you would smell like a rose. Why? Because that internal energy is so perfected and so beautiful and so clear.
You cleanse your energy through the thought.
Through
It's
this
like
thought.
it's like, no, I'm not accepting this negative energy. No, my energy is cleansed. Okay, so it's a progression, and how do we get there? And so therefore, it would be the exact same mechanism when you're looking at healing. I am healed. I am complete. I'm, I am too busy to get sick. Um, these are things that we can tell ourselves, and it's just the foundation. This is all we're touching on right now. It's just a basic foundation of energy work.
Yeah, there is that, but there is the fact that sometimes invasive entities, bacteria or whatever they may be, invade our physical element. We are not our physical element.
Mm-hmm.
We are that being beyond that, and so it's necessary to understand that we can only do so much for our physical self. And if you're ill, and there's that aspect of possible passing forward, then we simply have to accept that. But understanding that in accepting that, we become an exceptional being.
Mm-hmm.
We become that perfected self beyond the physical. And so I think in healing, there's a lot of motivation of self saying, I will not accept this illness, which helps modify it. Yes. But unfortunately, there are forces that we call bacteria, we call many other things that the physical form is not able to handle.
All of these are mechanisms, whether it be through prayer, through meditation, through sheer intent, um, a raising of our consciousness, expanded views. I mean, there are so many. I mean, come on, this is like alphabet soup. Let's go from A to Z, right? Um, it's almost feels like infinity. You have the micro and the macro. Um, it's like, this is why we were specifically asking questions. Does any, have a specific question within a healing mechanism? How can we get there? If we have this issue in the physical body, how about the emotional? What if we have a broken heart? There are so many different, topics we can discuss. And we thought that before this holiday season really was upon us, that we would just basically start with some of the basic foundations for getting our space right.
Just remember that you is you. And in that process of understanding who you are comes the healing aspect. You can bend over and accept it and say, oh, I'm going to be in pain the rest of my life. Or you can say, yes, I'm going to be in pain, but it's okay.
I can manage it.
I can manage it. Yes, indeed.
Again, it's what we can kind of tell ourselves. I mean, there's mechanisms. Again, how can you get past that if you're in pain and the pain is so tremendous, and you're trying to meditate, but yet you continually lose focus because the pain is so terrible. The
Well, let me tell you.
create-
Let me tell you this, and she's going to be embarrassed because I talk about shadow box. Okay, and for almost 12 years, she had a back injury that was horrific, and she had taken every type 1 or what the government calls it drugs there is in pain. And when I slept beside her, she would bounce off the bed with spasms. Okay, really bad. I had to carry her to the bathroom many times because she couldn't walk. And now here she is. And she's beautiful, she's wonderful, she's walking, she's talking, and she's doing service, which is the important part of any human entity, is to be of service. And she's doing it.
So when we speak about different formats for healing, it's just my experience. That's the only thing I can really share. Would be my how I did it. Why did I do it? I think the big thing is why. Um, and that'll come out later on eventually. But so Paul,
Oh, I'm going to add to this a little bit. I want people to think about some things. Like here, I have a glass of water. You can only put so much water in it. Once you put it up to the top, it's going to overflow. And no matter how much more water you pour, you're only going to get this much water. Okay. Now, since I'm using water as an example, I also want to look at the molecular aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
H2O, one hydrogen, two oxygen. All right. You can throw five oxygen in there and it's still water, still only going to be H2O, one hydrogen, two oxygen. All right. Doesn't matter how much oxygen you throw in there, it can only use so much. So, going to the scientific aspect of it. All right. If you're burning something and you're trying to get rid of negative energy, if you're not mentally there, believing in it, wanting it to work, being positive, okay, so you're spouting off negativity. All that negativity that you're putting out there while you do it is attaching to it, and you're kind of defeating your own purpose. It's like trying to pour more water into a glass that only holds so much. Okay.
But the important thing is that the material will do its job. What you
Correct.
leave behind through poor intent
Mm-hmm.
will remain.
Correct, because the glass is still going to hold this much water.
Yes.
Okay. So you got to remember that the things that you're going to do, if this is something that interests you and you want to try it, don't go into, okay, well, let's see if this works. Well, guess what? You're defeating your own purpose. Okay. Let's see if this glass can hold a gallon of water.
Go for it.
Go into it with hey, I'm really needing this. I want this to be what it is, and I'm going to put some belief and some, positiveness into this. It's actually going to help you more. And the reason why I kind of go to this avenue and all that, Lee was talking about the back pain, all the medications, and all that stuff. 2011, I was in an accident, and the disc between my L3 and L4 vertebrae was completely demolished. It's gone, bone on bone. So I had to have what was called an L3 L4 fusion. They had me initially on morphine sulfate, Percocets, all these narcotics, and I pushed all those narcotics out of my life. All right, because I have an addictive personality. I knew where that was going to lead. So I went to the willpower of, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to continue on. I'm going to push through it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I've had some low points. I've had times where I just didn't want to exist anymore. And there's positive things that happen in your life that can help you bring yourself out of it. This is why I have such a closeness to spirituality, because I know that the mind can do a lot of things, and anything that I can utilize that's going to help with bringing more positivity into my life and getting rid of negativity, I am so open to it. Where a decade ago, I would have been just like, well, okay, this stuff is all nonsense. This is garbage. They're spouting off all these, things that are just nonsense. What I have learned in the last decade is that there's a lot more to these things than what people realize.
Good for you.
And I have felt a difference in my life on a lot of different avenues. So I just want you to know that if you're going to utilize it, do it with the wisdom of wanting a positive outcome. And let's say just for a moment, it's all just hoodoo voodoo. Let's say none of it works. Just going into it with the positive attitude and the positive mentality is going to help make you get rid of a lot of your negative energy on your own.
Yeah.
So now let's add in, let's say it does work. Imagine how much better and how much quicker and how much stronger you're going to be with this added help. So there
Paul, that you make some really, really strong points. And again, when we're speaking about pain, physical pain, I was on quite a few medications for a long time, and I could feel that they were killing me. I could feel that they were changing my DNA, and there's a difference from addiction or dependent. my body was dependent on the medication to stop the pain signals enough so I could literally get up and possibly go to the bathroom or walk halfway to the kitchen and my leg would I'd be standing there and man, I would just drop like a hot potato. You're sitting there talking to me and then you're looking around, I'm down on the ground.
Yes.
So there's a big difference between that. I did not, I could didn't care about the medication. It was like no, I didn't care for it. However, my body really required it at that time, so that my body could start healing and processing.
Yes.
And the way, literally, because you were speaking about, well, yeah, I can try this, maybe, could be, we'll pretend, or we'll play with this. Well, um, there was a few things that transpired in my life for me to take a look at. And again, it's like, where's the why? How was this illness, this injury, that ended up becoming an illness because of the injury?
Mm-hmm.
How was it serving me? Wasn't I could not, and it was like, okay, well, if it wasn't serving me, then why is it still here, like an unwelcomed house guest? So these are mechanisms, but it does take dedication. It takes a framework in your mind.
Yes.
And like Lee Tuox was saying, there are people do carry illnesses and it's serving them in one form. Why? Whether it's getting the attention, oh, I'm sorry, I have this, and this, I can't do that. Can you go to the store for me? Whatever it may be, it's not a disclaimer, it's not a judgment, but there are those who, I mean, how many times have you ever really just listened to somebody speak? And it's like they're literally claiming that illness of their own. Oh my God, the doctor diagnosed me with blah 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 blah. Really? And it's like they're kind of proud that they found out that after so long, this is what was wrong with
Right.
them, right? Which is a good thing, uh, to know kind of what it is, so then you can kind of get rid of it, right? When you're not sure which way to go, it can be a little daunting. However, there are many, many people that claim that illness or that injury in order to serve them. I'm sorry to say it, I don't mean to be rude, but there is an accuracy with that.
Oh,
And
yes.
until that is addressed, it's still going to take up residence in your home, which means your body.
Right.
And these are just mechanisms, like we're saying, on how to help regulate that, clear that energy so we can have uh, thought more positive. It's like, when we cry, there's a buildup of an emotional aspect. And when we cry, depending on the reason, like if it's sad or grief or anything else, there's different chemicals that are in those teardrops. So it is a release. That's a good thing to do. And besides, when we cry, it washes our eyes so we may see more clearly. And it is
Yes.
no different for us taking a look at how is this illness or how is this injury, how is it serving me? And that's a big eye opener. I
Mhm.
mean, sit with that, and it's like, man, should have had a V8 and upside the head type of thing. And it's not fun. It's
No.
not fun to take a look at. It truly isn't. But it's kind of like having surgery, right? You go in, it's going to hurt, but then you're going to heal. There'll be a scar, but
Yep.
that is the journey.
We also have to remember that there are many types of pain.
Yes.
Psychological loss
Yep.
of a loved one. There's a physical loss of the energetic body not wishing to do anything else except die.
Yep.
And in that, there is that attitude. And when we have an attitude that pronounces us as inept, that's where we go. If we have an attitude, say, I will be better, I will conquer this,
Yep.
then that happens. It is a matter of choice.
There's a lot of truth to that. as I've mentioned, I had a back injury, okay, spinal injury, um,
Yep.
and that, from 2011 to 2014, I had over 12 major surgeries, and the fusion that I had, the muscle and hardware didn't go the way it was supposed to, and I actually had to wait until the fusion completed before they could take the hardware out. And because I was a smoker, it took longer for the fusion to complete itself. So I had to wait an additional year for that fusion to complete itself while going through all that pain. Then in 2014, my doctor had told me with the nerve damage that I had, more than likely I was going to be in a chair within 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as we were talking before the show and all that, I just got a pull-up station in my home,
Ooh.
and I just did a pull-up yesterday. Okay, a pull-up, just one, just one. Prior to my injury, I used to do 200 push-ups and 100 pull-ups every single day. And after my injury, I couldn't do any of that. Now, when that doctor told me that, I went into a deep depression. I had mentally given up. I'm going to be in a chair. I just wanted to die. I didn't care to live. I didn't want to go around in a chair. I didn't want to not be able to walk. And there came a point where I started to become more active and I started to do things, and other people saying, "Hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?" Massage therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing massage therapy, and that worked wonders. Where I would wake up and my foot or my leg would be dead, to where if I had to go to the bathroom, literally, I had to roll out of bed onto the floor and
Yep.
drag myself and pull myself up onto the toilet just to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, the depression that comes with that, like, oh my God, where's the chair? Give me the chair now. I might as well start using it. I mean, just the whole negativity that goes with that. And then when you start getting to where things are starting to get better, your mind takes a different run at it. It's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, I can beat this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can beat this. That doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. F him. I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to beat him. I went back to working out in every aspect that I could, stretching, doing what I could, going on walks, doing everything that I could.
Yeah.
I can now do push-ups. Granted, I'm not doing 200 a day, but I can do push-ups. I can do about 10 of them. I can now do a pull-up, and it's 2022 going on 2023, and I am still walking.
This is it. And Paul, I just like to say, I mean, I've had many of the exact same experiences. And it's not to say that, I don't have some rougher days. Okay. I
Yes.
do. I do. Yeah. I feel it. But then again, I can meditate, I can change. But again, getting to that point where you could get past that pain point, or be outside of yourself in order to start working on the physical body, because nothing in the physical body is going to heal until it is healed in the etheric first, in the etheric body. And then it's like physical body ends up matching where in that etheric realm. And we will get to that at another point. What I would like to do is I would like to offer you guys, it is a visualization. You can visualize it, you can pretend, you can intend it, whatever floats your boat. It is, you could consider it a mind experiment if you like, but the point is that it's done through thought. All right, because How many times have we found ourselves somewhere and we don't have the smudging equipment? Now, for me, Palo Santo, I don't leave home without it. I have it in my purse, I have it in the car, 4 places in the car. Yes. So I always have it in case I run into somebody and it's like, I'll give them a stick. But so what happens when we find ourselves like at a hospital? You can't burn something, right? Um, and that energy there can be very daunting and very, I mean, especially you walk into a room and you have a loved one and it's like, my God, I can't believe they have it. My loved one in this room, how can they breathe? They got that. But how can you breathe? It's like negative and nasty, right? I mean, think about somebody was in there and somebody may have passed and the family members are all grieving. Well, all that energy is sticking to the walls. Okay. So how can we kind of rectify or clear that? Same thing like if you were had to go to a prison, okay, or you're in an office building, um, even a bar, a facility. So how can we alter or change that energy? And again, I will say this again: we take a shower every day. We do physical, we um, uh, clean personal hygiene. We wash our floors. We do the dusting. Well, guess what? Working with this energy is the exact same thing. You got to take a shower. You got to every day, you got to wash your floors. So don't think that when I show you this technique that you do it, no, good, you're done. You did it once and, it's going to be good for another 100 years. No. So if you work with this and say you're in a hospital, and I do it, if I have to go to a hospital for some reason, visit someone or whatever, I'm doing it throughout the whole hospital just because I'm there. So it's like a blessing. It's like a blessing. They're all right. So what you do is you start with just centering yourself. Okay, you can do this while you're in the building, or you can do it when you're outside of the building. So let's just do it for our home. Okay, what you're going to look at is the major hub. Now, where's the heart of your home? Is it the kitchen or is it the living room, for instance? Okay, um, start there. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a vortex. You're going to create like a whirlpool. Do you ever see water going down from your bath drain? All right, it's going to look just like that. You're going to visualize it. So what you do is from the hub. So if you're doing it for a building, you can do it in the center of the building. You can start right plain center, ground level. You can go up, you can go down. All right, center of the building. In your home, the center of the hub. And then you're going to go out from there. So what you're going to do is you're going to start this energy. You're going to call it in. You're going to ask. And you can actually, and I do, I take my hand and you notice how I'm using my hand because this is helping me visualize it. I'm creating that energy. And you start counterclockwise. What this is doing is this energy is going to go like a broom, like it's going to start sweeping the stale, stagnant energy from the corners, like little gathering little dust bunnies. Think about what a hurricane does, right? Or a tornado. What is it doing when it's spiraling? It's collecting all this stuff, right? So visualize it like that if you like, if that helps. Counterclockwise. Allow that to resonate, allow that to swirl around a little bit and collect that energy. Start expanding it out from your living room or kitchen, out, out, out to all the rooms. See it getting larger and larger and larger, encasing in the whole house, from the basement all the way up to the attic. And all of that energy is going to go down the drain. It's going to go back down into Mother Earth. Okay, Mother Earth is going to use it as composting, fertilizer, all of that. So all that negative thought, fighting, arguing, stagnant energy, all the way from cupboards, or if you're in a hospital, all the way down through the morgue, doesn't matter, straight into Mother Earth. Then, then what you do is you allow that to settle for a second, and then start another one. And this one comes from above. And this you can utilize the color gold. Same thing, but it's clockwise. You're going to be bringing in, remember we were talking about, smudging with sage and mother spray, you're negating one. Now you're bringing the good in. So when you're creating this and you're doing it in a clockwise position, it's gold. Bring the gold in, and the gold is going to fill in all those little places that all those little dust bunnies, all that negative energy, was taking place or holding shape there. And so that golden energy is like a band. It's healing it, right? Um, and then you allow that energy to come in and settle. So you're bringing it in from the heavens. And literally, that's it. And that's how quick you can do it. Like if I go visit a friend, or I'm doing, somebody invites me over and the energy might not be, you can just tell, like, hey, they had an argument even last week. I'll go in there and I'll just, it's a blessing. And so I help get rid of that stale, stagnant energy so people can actually breathe. I go to a hospital, I'll do that. I go to the prisons, I do that. I go to a courtroom, I do that. I don't care what building I'm going in, I'm cleaning energy. And so we can all do this through our intent, through our heart, through visualization. Pretend, play, pick a word. Just pick a word, because you will recognize after. You might say, husband comes on, wow, what did you guys do in here? And nothing. We just had a cup of coffee and I cleaned. And the person that I was having the cup of coffee with didn't even know I was doing that. So you can do it for your own home. So if you have a home that you've had since 1900s and 1700s, and you do not have these other tools, you can do it through intent. So I'll leave it with that.
Anyhow, when she was talking about clockwise or counterclockwise, she was going clockwise, actually counterclockwise.
It's backwards.
To the left.
Well, no, because I was
Yeah.
doing another thing. Did I?
No,
I'm
yes,
dyslexic.
you were doing this, okay? So that's counterclockwise.
I'm dyslexic, but yeah, no. So yeah, counterclockwise.
Yeah.
What was that?
Kato,
So yes, you did. You went this way,
Okay.
so it goes this way.
Okay, it's counterclockwise and then clockwise. Okay.
Cato says, and anti-clockwise. When I make tea, I stir anti-clockwise if I want to remove negative energy, and clockwise to bring in positive.
Yeah,
now I,
Exactly. Correct.
now
Yeah.
I can expand on this with this new visualization. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you froze.
You froze.
Hang on. Yeah. Yep.
I'm froze or you froze? Well,
And it
you
is
froze for
entirely-
me and I froze for you. So
Okay, so we'll probably do I'll probably do a space later this evening, and I invite anyone to come on in. It's just I have an appointment I have to be at in a little bit, so I know we're gonna do a wrap. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Lee, because I do have to head out here, but. That I think that tool it's very easy to utilize. It's very easy to do. And by the way, Cato, I like how you said, what was it? Anti-clockwise. It's just counterclockwise. I know it may be something maybe on the other side of the pond, but I try to stay away from the word anti in anything, because anti creates a discordant, frictionless word, like anti-war. How about peace? All right, so we're gonna have an anti-war rally. Why would we have? What is the topic? War. Okay, but a peace rally, sign me up. But an anti-war rally, no. So I stay away from anti, and I just make it like for that would be counterclockwise. We have a term hioki. Okay, so like when we're smudging, you may turn clockwise or counterclockwise. If you turn in counterclockwise, that would be hioki. And I am hioki, by the way.
Cato responded, haha, yes, we say it like this in the UK. Yes, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I figured it was a thing. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Excellent show. I want to thank everybody for participating. Thank you, everybody that was in the comments. Remember, be kind, be happy, and may good things come your way. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.